Hey, what's up guys? Radku here, back with another Yu-Gi-Oh video, and today is going to be Shaddolls. Now, this is a really cool deck, and, well, it kinda had the biggest fall from grace I've ever seen a deck have, next to Spiral. But the funny thing is, nothing even got banned from it. It just got power crept in one format. This was the top deck in about 1 to 2 formats, and then it just died, like straight up died. You can't even see it on Simo's list of good decks anymore. He doesn't even put it in everything else, it just doesn't exist. But basically, this deck is still really solid, and mostly because of two cards, El Shaddol Construct and El Shaddol Winda. And you see, the thing is, a bunch of other decks use El Shaddol Winda, and there aren't many ways to take care of it anymore. So I don't know why Shaddol hasn't seen any more play since then. Like, literally no one plays Shaddol anymore. But I still think it's a really, really good deck that's definitely rogue tier at least. If any of my other decks have showed me anything, it's that you can make any deck competitive if you really try. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into the deck profile. Starting things off, for the starters, 3 copy of Shaddol Wendy. It has all the Shaddol monsters, or most of them, have double effects, a flip effect and a normal effect. Basically, Wendy's effect is its flip effect. You can special summon one Shaddol monster from your deck in face up or face down defense position, except Shaddol Wendy. So the thing about this is that that's a really good effect. You get one monster on the field, plus you can summon one out and then flip it face up, which would trigger their effect, which can get you into some pretty killer combos. And then if this card is sent to the graveyard by card effect, you can special summon one Shaddol monster from your deck in face down defense position. So really, really good card effect. Plus, this is kind of the poster child for the deck, being probably one of the best Shaddol monsters. Funny enough, these almost all of them come in the Shaddol structure deck, except for Paleozoic Dynamiscus, and I'm pretty sure Potted Desires, and then the hand traps. But most of this comes in the Shaddol structure deck, which can be picked up for about $30. Go to Vintage Stock. Seriously, they haven't raised the price from $10 to $17 yet, so they're the best place that you can go and pick it up. So 3 copies of this, definitely really, really good. I play 2 copies of Nay Shaddol Ariel. I really only formatted it like this because of the look, but the effective Ariel, you can target one of your banished Shaddol monsters, special summon it in face-up defense position or face-down defense position. If this card is sent to the graveyard by card effect, you can target up to 3 cards in the graveyard, banish them. So basically, the effect allows you to get rid of some of the cards in your opponent's graveyard as well. And this deck really thrives off of banishing, because you got some pretty solid effects that can trigger when you banish cards. So, this is really good. You can banish cards from your graveyard and your opponent's graveyard. Plus, this can allow you to renew your banished cards. And you don't have a ton of Shaddol monsters, but you definitely have enough for the engine to work almost every time. Then I play 3 copies of Shaddol Squamata. Squamata's effect is you can target one monster on the field, destroy it. If this card is sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can send one Shaddol monster from your deck to the graveyard, except for Squamata. So again, most of them have graveyard and or banished effects, so you can really use it pretty effectively. Plus, it's just a really good card in general, just being able to send graveyard reliant cards to the grave. Then I play 3 copies of Shaddol Hedgehog. You can add one Shaddol spell or trap from your deck to your hand. This can help you search your Shaddol Reincarnation, your Schism, or even your fusion cards. And this is probably one of the best searchers in the deck. If this card is sent to the graveyard by card effect, you can add one Shaddol monster from your deck to your hand, except for Hedgehog, which this deck basically is a slower version. This isn't a combo heavy deck, even though you can combo decently to get like a Construct, a Wendy Lockdown, and maybe Greasta on the field. But it's definitely a slower deck, especially because of all the good effects are flip effects. So you can definitely use this effectively, and I think it's grindy enough to be able to actually use it. Then I play two copies of Shaddol Beast. You flip, you can draw two cards and discard one, which is really good. Then if this card is sent to the graveyard by card effect, you can draw one card. So really good draw spell. Plus, we have ways of sending from the hand to the graveyard, so it's basically just a free draw. Then I play one copy of Dragon. Dragon's effect, you can target one of your opponent's monsters, return it to the hand, and then basically a free compulse. And if this card's sent to the graveyard, you can target one spell or trap card on the field, destroy it. Really good effect. It's a good one of because you can't combo as well as you could do with the other ones, because this is your draw spell, this is your spell searcher, this is your monster searcher, and then these are needed. But this one, it's just kind of there. You can use it, and you really only have it because of the Shaddol name and being able to combo with it. Kind of like with rockets, where you can use the rocket name to gain advantage, but you don't actually use the effect of cards like Magna Rocket or Anthra Rocket or any of those other ones. You just use it for the name. Then I play one copy of Perform Age Trick Clown, just because this is like an honorary Shaddol monster. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target one Perform Age monster in your graveyard, special summon it, but its attack and defense becomes 0, and you can take and then you take 1,000 points of damage. So the Perform Age deck was actually like a Pepe deck, like Perform Age Performapal, which was like the most consistent deck ever, and it basically locked your opponent out for doing anything. But this is a really good card that's a mandatory at least one of in this deck because of how well it can send cards to the graveyard. So one of these is definitely worth it. And that is it for the Shaddol / honorary Shaddol monsters. I'd say this lineup is pretty solid. If not, you want to run one Falco so you could go into Halki-Fibrax plays. But I didn't really think that this deck needed to go into Halki-Fibrax, considering the fact that the only other tuner monsters you have is your hand traps. But I thought it was fine. So for the hand traps, 3 copies of Ash, 3 Droll and Lock Bird, because this can definitely help just stop your opponent's plays, because searching and drawing is definitely really prevalent. So this is basically like Ash but cheaper. Then to Ghost Ogre. I was gonna run the Gamma driver package, but the problem is I played Desires and I couldn't risk banishing my driver and then made all my Gammas dead cards, because the thing is, like, if I lose my driver, it's all over. But if I lose any of these, I'm fine. Literally, none of these cards are actual combo pieces. Like, you could pretty much, if you start out with Wendy, a Squamata, or a Hedgehog in your hand, you're basically set. So then I play, for the spell cards, 3 copies of El Shaddol Fusion. I always questioned this card, but then I realized that you can search it with Hedgehog. So 3 copies of it is good, but it's like a worse poly because it can't summon out non-Shaddol monsters. Plus, it's a hard once per turn. So the thing is, it's again basically a worse poly, but you can search it out with Hedgehog, even though there are better ways to search out Polly than this. I don't know why this card is so good. If you guys know why it's so good, just tell me in the comments, because I, for the life of me, don't understand it. 3 copies of Shaddol Fusion. You can fusion summon from the extra deck by using cards from your hand or field as material. And if your opponent controls a monster that was special summoned from the extra deck, you can also use monsters in your deck as fusion material. And pretty good going second card. But it's basically a poly or what's that card called? The I don't even the Lunalight fusion, which go check out the deck profile that I did yesterday. Maybe it was the day before that. It doesn't matter. But it's pretty similar to that. If not, the main deck is a lot better for this than with Lunalights, but this is definitely a pretty good card. Then three desires, just because you can sometimes gain advantage off of banishing, even though they're banished face down, so you can't usually use them very well. And then I play three super poly, because the thing is, it explains some of my extra deck choices, because this isn't exactly the best extra deck. It's more of the Shaddol Showdown structure deck extra deck, because all the cards in there come from there except for the cross sheep. But this is the reason why I play this lineup of cards in my extra deck. Then for the traps, two copies of Rish Shaddol Incarnation. So you can target one Shaddol card in your graveyard, special summon in face up or face down defense position. You can banish this card from your graveyard and one Shaddol card. Then then activate one of these effects. Change one face down monster you control to face up, or change one face up to face down. This can help just continually spam your card effects like Wendy. It's definitely really good. If you can spam your Wendy, you can summon out multiple Shaddol monsters from your from your graveyard, which can really help your plays. Uh, Last Shaddol card I play, Shaddol Schism. During the main phase, you can fusion summon one Shaddol monster from your extra deck by banishing fusion materials listed on your field or graveyard, but it cannot attack directly. Then you can send send to the graveyard one monster your opponent controls with the same attribute. Fusion summon as a fusion summon one. It's okay. Dogmatica actually uses this to summon out Wendy, Winda, which is a really good lockdown that they have. And then rounding off the deck, I play two copies of Paleozoic Dynamiscus, because basically this card, you can target one face-up card on the field, discard one card, and if you do, banish it. So basically, sorry, ignore the background. Basically, this can help you trigger off your Shaddol effects, because this card uses it as the effect and not the actual card or not a cost. So this can really help if you want to trigger off your Shaddol monster's effects. And that is it for the main deck. I'm not playing the Invoked engine just because I figured I wanted to play more of a pure Shaddol engine. I might even make it an Invoked deck profile, which the Invoked deck is really good. But I figured I'd want to show off the pure Shaddol version before I actually showed off the invoked Shaddol or anything. But this is definitely a pretty solid extra deck. Let me know in the comment section down below whether there are some stuff that you'd rather change out in this. And yeah, let's move on to the extra deck. Extra deck, I play three copies of El Shaddol Winda. So Winda's effect is basically pure floodgate. Cannot be destroyed by an opponent's card effects. Each player can only special summon monsters once per turn while this face-up card is on the field. And then while this card is face up on the field, if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target one Shaddol Spiller Trap card in the graveyard, add it to your hand. So this can, if your opponent destroys like your Schism, or even your Reincarnation. You can use both of those to bring back your Winda, which can really help your plays. Next, 3 copies of El Shaddol's Construct must be fusion summoned. Then, if this card is special summoned, you can target one Shaddol monster in your graveyard. Uh, you can send one Shaddol to your graveyard. At the start of the damage step, if this card battles a special summoned monster, destroy that card, destroy that monster. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target one spell or trap in the graveyard, add it to your hand. So this can basically just get rid of special summon monsters for free. And again, considering that most decks can go without even normal summoning, and they almost never leave their normal summon monsters on the field, it can definitely really help. Unless you're playing against Monarchs. If you're playing against Monarchs, you're screwed. Then I played 2 copies of El Shaddol Grista. It's an okay card. It's not exactly the best Shaddol monster, but I play it because of the fact that Infernoble Knights is one of the highest tier decks right now, and is probably second only to Rock or to Link Dragon at this point. But its effect is when your opponent would special summon a monster while you have a Shaddol card in your hand. Quick effect, you can negate the summon, and if you do, destroy that card. Then send one Shaddol from your card from your hand to the graveyard. You can only use the effect once per turn, and then it has the effect to add back the spell and trap card. So a summon negation is definitely really good, but you won't go into it that often because the only other card you have that you can use is Ash Blossom, which I mean you could technically use Fusion to go into it with Ash Blossom, which would be really good to have like a Grista, a Construct, and a Winda on the field, because you could have a complete lockdown of no special summons. If you can get rid of their actual summon. And you can destroy their monster if they have one on the field, which is a crazy lockdown. Then I played 2 copies of El Shaddol Skigakanga. I'm not 100% sure what this is called, but it's definitely a pretty good card. I really only use it because Adamancipator is still a decently strong deck, if not a bit of a glass cannon. So you can, if you have this, you can use Super Poly to get rid of some of their cards, but must first be special summon. When you special summon this card, quick effect, you can. Oh, uh, when a special summon monster activates an effect while you have a Shaddol card in your hand, quick effect, you can negate the activation, and if you do, destroy the monster. Then send one Shaddol card from your hand to the graveyard, hard ones per turn, and then the spell trap renewal. Again, these two are definitely really good cards with summon negation and effect negation. So ignoring construct, if you could get these 3 on the field, which you could add like an earth card, maybe like Nibiru. No, Nibiru's dark, but if you had something to get into this, you could definitely utilize it really well. And if you could use like a full lockdown with Winda restricting your cards, Greasta getting rid of their actual summon, and then this being able to stop any spell or trap cards, like maybe even floodgates. This would definitely be a great lockdown. Correction, it's only monster effects, but it's definitely still really good. I play 1 copy of El Shaddol Wendigo. The funny thing is that, you can actually summon this card, but I found it kind of ironic that this one, the one that has the whale in it, is not the water type, but must be special summon. Then quick effect, you can target one monster you control. This turn, it cannot be destroyed with battle. With an opponent's special summon monster. It's a hard ones per turn. Not a good card, but it's decently strong in terms of defense. Really, again, only a super poly target. Only reason why I have it in here. I play 1 copy of Anatilis. Must be special summon. Neither player can special summon monsters from the hand or graveyard using spell or trap card effects. So, really powerful. Yeah. I mean, sure, there's a lot of special summoning from the deck, but the thing is, they have to get their play started somehow, and most cards are done by monster effects. So again, if you can utilize, like, I don't know, maybe an Ariel to go into uh, this, and then you have a Winda and a Greasta on the field, you can lock down their summons with Winda, restrict their actual summon that they make, and then they can't summon from the hand or graveyard to get their play started, which means they actually can't gamma you because it negates, but then it has to special summon, which it wouldn't be able to special summon. Then I play one copy of Apcolone. Must first be special summoned, cannot be destroyed by battle. You can only use the effect once per turn. If this card is special summoned, you can target one card on the field, negate its effects, and then if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can add one Shaddol card from your deck to or graveyard to your hand, then discard one card. So this can help search your cards. Especially since it can search from your deck, unlike the other ones, which can only add from the graveyard a spell or trap card. This can search your cards from your graveyard or deck, which is definitely really good. Plus, some of your Shaddol monsters are different types. You might run into an issue if you draw too many of the actual Shaddol monsters and you don't draw into like a Winda or Wendy or an Ariel, but you know it's not that bad. Then I play one copy of Shaddol Construct. During your main phase, you can fusion summon one Shaddol fusion monster from your extra deck using cards from your hand or field as fusion material. And then if this card is in the graveyard, you can send one Shaddol from your hand or field to the graveyard, and if you do special summon this card. So it's basically like a recurring fusion card, which is definitely really good if you want to just be able, if you want to combo off without actually having any of the spell or trap cards in your hand. And I might do a play test of this, I'm not sure, but this is definitely a really, really good card, which a lot of people overlook, but it's a good one of. Because this isn't really a link climb deck, so you aren't gonna link summon very often. Then I play one copy Cross Sheep just because you can special summon a monster from the graveyard, and since this deck is so graveyard reliant, being able to special summon from the graveyard is really, really good. Plus, just in general, Link, or Cross Sheep is really good. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for the deck profile. I'd say the main deck could use a bit more consistency. I was thinking about adding the spell books in there, but I figured, I only have a few caster types, including the hand traps. I do have a decent amount, but there are just too many non-spell casters to use it. So let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Let me know if there's anything else that you think I should do. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I will see you in the next Yu-Gi-Oh video. Peace, guys.